everyone. Happy Monday and welcome back to Flame Fatale. This is an all-women online speedrunning event presented by Frame Fatale and GDQ Hotfix. We are again benefiting Malala Fund. Malala Fund advocates for resources and policy changes needed to give all girls a secondary education, invests in local education activists, and amplifies the voices of girls fighting for change. You can learn more about this at malala.org. So that's MALALA.org. Now we have a wonderful day full of speed runs coming your way. And in the meantime, to learn more about Malala Fund, we are speaking with Hannah. Hannah is here with us today. She is a digital associate with Malala Fund. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. And again, I am Kung Fu Fruit Cup. I didn't even introduce myself. I feel like that's less important anyway. Um, so I wanted to hear a little bit about what you do as a digital associate with Malala Fund.
Sure. So, my primary role revolves around maintaining and curating our social media platforms. So, anything that you see on like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that is stuff that I do in my everyday work. I also write a bit for Assembly, which is our digital publication, and that's been really fun. But yeah, that like pretty much sums it up.
Awesome. How long have you been with Malala Fund?
I've been here for just over a year.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so with your time at Malala Fund, especially since we're in the middle of COVID and all of that, like what would you say is the thing that inspired you the most to join?
Yeah, I think like just speaking from a personal background, I had done a bit of like volunteering with young women when I was in college. I studied political science and communication, so I kind of felt like working at Malala Fund was just like a great intersection of all those interests. Like I got to work on digital communication, like within the practical side of my job, but also like liaise with a lot of young women from all around the world who are really passionate about like education or whatever other interests they have. So yeah, that's what kind of drew me to the organization, just getting to work with girls while still like I guess operating within the nonprofit communications sector.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a wonderful way to do it. Like, what was the first thing that you personally learned about Malala Fund? Like, when did you first get exposed to the fund?
So I actually, I knew who Malala was, and I knew that she was this like incredible Nobel Peace Prize winning figure. I actually didn't know that she had her own organization until I was like actively searching for jobs after graduation. But like once, I read up about the organization and I realized like how in tune it was with like my own professional and personal interests, I like realized that it would just be like such a great fit for me to work at. And like I really resonate strongly with a lot of the work that the organization does.
For sure. And in terms of that work, then, like, what would you say, since you've been here, what would you say is a really meaningful experience that you've had, like, through working with Malala Fund?
Yeah, I guess I would say like getting to work directly with young women or some of our like grantees who we call education champions has been really fulfilling. A lot of the times, like grantees or these young women will be like going through certain education barriers that like don't necessarily get the type of attention on a global scale that they should. So getting to hear their stories and then share them on our digital platforms is like a really great way to like spread the word and like raise awareness of what these people might be going through and
Yeah.
yeah like bring yeah just bring more awareness to like a global platform of like the types of issues that girls face to accessing quality education.
Yeah, and you said a lot of this is with the education champions. Can you explain a little bit about what that means? Like, what is an education champion?
Yeah, so Malala Fund works with education activists and leaders in each of our program countries. And essentially, we identify these individuals who like best understand the individual barriers that girls in their communities are facing towards accessing education. And like we work in 8 different countries around the world, so the barriers are quite different depending on the context. So yeah, we identify these individuals. We like work with them through like building the capacity of their programs, supporting their work through assembly to basically make sure that they have the tools to continue supporting girls' education in the communities that they work in because they are those that are best equipped to assist in that way.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. It's a wonderful thing to have. Like, it's a great kind of like tool to be able to utilize and to be able to have that connection with people around the world. So, as a digital associate, then for you, like, how does that affect you with in terms of your exposure with interacting with people all over the world?
Sorry, could you clarify that?
Yeah, as in like, what kind of exposure does that have for you? Like, how do you like how many people have you been able to interact with? Like, do you get stories coming into you that you are then putting back out, or like, are you getting exposure from the different groups in all the different countries?
Yeah, so I'll either liaise with our like education champion manager to understand what our champions are doing around the
Mhm.
world, or sometimes like of course we follow them all on social media. I'll just be like browsing through our feed, and if they share something that I think would be like really powerful and interesting, like for our like at Malala Fund branded handle, then I can reach out to them individually and hear more about like like a specific project or initiative that they're working on, and they'll often share with me like more pictures and details of their programs, and like that's one of the ways that I get in touch with some of our champions.
Gotcha. So then with what you've been posting, like working with the social media and all of that, would you say there's anything recently that you have been posting or working on that you think was like just specifically impactful?
Yeah, so we actually just wrapped up the third edition of Game Changers, which is a series that we host on Assembly every year, and it focuses on young women who are both athletes and activists in their own communities. So yeah, we had stories of one of the first like uh, Paralympic swimmers from Uganda speaking about like how she balances education with training for the Paralympics. We have stories about young Black female surfers from around the world who are breaking through the barriers, like racial and like socioeconomic barriers to surfing and in their sport, and just a bunch of other like really incredible stories of young women who are, like creating change both in their sport, but also like taking that change and that impact off the field too. And I think like just the timing with the Olympics just wrapping up was like really powerful. And I think people really resonated a lot with the stories that we shared through Game Changers.
Yeah, for sure. So since working there and checking out the assembly yourself and working with it, what would you say has been your favorite assembly story?
Um, that's really hard to
Yeah.
choose, but one of the first ones that comes to mind is from a girl named Sachi. She shared a story with us about internalized misogyny. And it was all about how, she grew up loving Taylor Swift and Twilight when she was younger. But then somewhere along the way, like people told her that, liking these girly things was like uncool, basically. And that kind of pushed her away from like embracing her interests. And it kind of
Mm,
pushed her away from like accepting femininity as being a part of like a legitimate part of being a woman. And I think like the whole conversation around internalized misogyny is like a struggle that a lot of young women deal with, not wanting to identify with being feminine because, that is how people like are marginalized, and people like I guess like see like girly things as being, maybe vapid or like a bit shallow. But I think it's really important to let young women know that, they shouldn't have to minimize any of their interests in order to be considered, intelligent or accomplished. You can like Twilight, you can like Taylor Swift and, still be accomplished in your own ways. And I think that that article was like particularly powerful for me.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, it's just like an interesting conversation to have around that kind of internalized misogyny, just with being able to express yourself and feeling like you can be really who you are, who you want to be, and still feeling like you can have a powerful and strong voice. So I think it's great to be able to see things like that and have people talking about it. And, again, it's like part of the education, and social education and awareness is super important. So yeah, that's a great story. That's a great one to tell. And if you all want to read more about these assembly stories, I hear you can go to assembly.malala.org. to check them out. Now, before I let you go, I have two more things I'd like to touch upon. One is I hear that you have a newer TikTok account, like that's a bit newer for you all. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in there.
Yeah. So one of like the big projects that I've been working at Malala Fund is our TikTok account. So we launched that last October, and we feature like all sorts of really interesting and exciting content on there, in my opinion. We share like video versions of Girls Assembly stories. We share memes and hop onto like funny like trending audios and things like that. We featured Malala on our TikToks a few times, and it's just been a really great way to kind of like first like expand awareness of Malala Fund to like an audience of people that might not otherwise be familiar, and
Mhm.
also just get a chance to like be funny and dynamic and engage with young people in a space where I feel like a lot of nonprofits aren't necessarily present. So that has been like really fun.
Cool. Yeah. Again, it's just another great way to branch out and get connected with people and get more people into Malala Fund. So, if you all browse TikTok, you can go give them a follow and check out the amazing stories that they have to post. And then I also want to ask you, are you a gamer yourself? Do you play any games?
I was actually pretty, I guess, like prolific League of Legends player when I was in college. I had to
Nice.
stop, just for the sake of my own like emotional well-being. Yeah, but these days I pretty much like play casual Switch games with my roommate. We've been playing like Pico Park recently, if you're familiar with that
Mhm.
game. Baba is You, just like really fun, like low stakes kind of games that like there's no opportunity for you to rage quit.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's what I've been up to mostly
that's
these days.
fun. Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I could suggest so many right now. But probably not the time. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Hannah. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Of course. And again, wonderful to speak with you. And if you all want to check out any more information about Malala Fund, you can go to malala.org. So super easy right there for you all. Now we have coming up for our first one of the day is Immortals Phoenix Rising. And our commentator I hear is Phoenix herself. So you'll have her and I don't know, this host. There's gonna be a host coming up. I think her name is like Kung Fu Fruit Cup or something. I don't know. I'm so sorry that she'll be there, but everybody else is going to be amazing. It's going to be a wonderful day. Anyway, sorry, enough memeing on that. Um, enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the event, and thank you all for being here. We will be starting our first one shortly.